Hey guys, what's up? It's me, MC Matador here, today bringing you another video. Now this time I'm going to touch upon another old series, kind of like how I was doing with the park battles and the top X countdowns recently. I'm going to try and remedy something I did 2 years ago in the summer of 2018, I think it was. So that's actually a year ago, but it's essentially been dated 2 years at this point. It's the Imagine Yourself as the Boss series. This is my version 2.0 for Six Flags Great America. Now some context behind this series is that in the first half of 2018, I published a video under the same title as this one, Imagine Yourself as the Boss, putting myself in a situation where I had full control over Six Flags Great America's expansionary policy over the following 5 years. And my predictions in that episode were wildly off. Like, literally the entire core tenet of the video was turned on its head after 2019's announcement, which ended up being Max Force. And then after year 2, I predicted something completely else wrong, and everything's just wrong, and I really should just go back and try and give my new ideas about what I would do if I had full control of the park. And the first episode did really well. It was one of my moderately successful videos. So why not just do this again? And, well, my opinions have also changed on what the parks need over 2 years. As well as Six Flags' developments and what they are buying and what they aren't buying, what's cool, what's not cool. And we'll hypothetically assume that I'll have power yet again from 2021 to 2025. But in order to predict the future, we must look at the past. Now I'll be covering the entirety of the 2010s into 2020. 2010, Little Dipper was relocated from the now-defunct Kiddieland, and the Great American Raceway antique cars were removed. In 2011, the go-karts were relocated from Carousel Plaza to Riptide Bay, or to Yukon Territory in its current spot. The Riptide Bay water park expansion opens up in the former spot of the go-karts, as well as the former spot of the Space Shuttle America, which closed down at the end of 2007. Iron Wolf had its last ride at the end of the 2011 season. In 2012, X-Flight, the B&M Wing Coaster, opens in the place of the Great American Raceway, also using up some of the land that was occupied formerly by Splashwater Falls, which was the Shoot the Chutes removed in 2007. In 2013, it was a down year, and Ignite Grand Finale fireworks show runs for the 2013 season only as the primetime entertainment. Raging Cajun is removed at the end of the season and relocated to Six Flags America. In 2014, Goliath, the ground-up RMC, opens in the place of Iron Wolf. In 2015, another down year, Hometown Park with 3 kiddie rides opens. General maintenance and sprucing of the park for the 40th anniversary, or 40th season. The Southwest Amphitheater is removed for 2016's edition, Justice League Battle for Metropolis, and Sally Ride's Dark Laser Shooting Ride, opening directly in the place of Southwest Amphitheater. Schwarzkopf Enterprise and Zamperla Rock and Tug, Orbit, and Justice Wild Ride, respectively, are removed at the end of the season without notice. Joker, an SNS 40 free spin, opens in the place of Raging Cajun, and Easterwood Crawler, now known as Lobster, takes up Orbit's spot. Just as Wild Ride is occupied more or less by Joker as well. King Chaos, the Huss Top Spin, is removed at the end of the season. Mardi Gras Hangover, a 100-foot-tall Larson Superloop, opens in place of it. Pictorium is demolished early into the 2018 season and is shared on Facebook publicly. Making way for 2019's edition, Max Force, an SNS Air Launch Coaster, opening directly in the spot of Pictorium closer to the dry park. Tsunami Surge, the 86-foot-tall water coaster, will open up using residual land from the Pictorium clearing, as well as some open patches of grasses they may have around the entrance of the water park in Riptide Bay. That the area of land is going to be occupied by is yet to be determined. So overall, it's been a pretty aggressive series of expansion for Six Flags Great America. And, I mean, considering we've gotten 4 coasters for the cost of 2. Iron Wolf and Raging Cajun were axed for X-Flight, Goliath, Joker, and Max Force, 2 of which are in our current top 3 in the lineup. Great America has gone from a place of having a lot of roller coasters, but just that, not really having a standout, to definitely one of the more notable parks and probably probably the biggest park in the entirety of the true Midwest, because some people don't consider Ohio to be the Midwest. More the North, it's more the Pennsylvania region, like the Mid-Atlantic. It's a little mixed. But along the Lake Michigan area, Six Flags Great America is the must-do theme park for residents who live along Lake Michigan, as well as into the Great Plains. And for 2020, or 2021, I should say now, I predicted that the 2020 season Buccaneer Battle will get the axe and be replaced by a Zamperla Giga Discovery. Sorry about the bit being cut off there. I don't know what's going on. So Buccaneer Battle will close for good by Labor Day of 2020, and it will be directly replaced with a Zamperla Giga Discovery known as not named either Crazanity or Pandemonium. Six Flags has been in a hot streak since 2017 of installing at least one of these per year, though not everyone is going to be is going to be the Giga model. The Giga models have only gone to Magic Mountain, Great Adventure, Fiesta Texas, and Mexico through 2020. It will have marked 3 years, 2018, since the last Drive flat ride, and controversy will ensue because, you have a Giga Discovery and a Huss Frisbee, not a Mega Frisbee or whatever, in the same park. Revolution will stay open, for now. And an extra kicker, there will be the entire Fright Fest will be dedicated to putting American Eagle to rest, and we were replaced over the course of a year and a half, a very similar and a Steel Vengeance-like process for the 2022 project, RMC American Eagle. I have been thoroughly convinced over the course of the past few years that this is a good idea. And if you want some general ideas of what a good American Eagle RMC would look like, I would highly recommend checking up the theme park, or this video in the bottom corner here, that's the thumbnail. American Eagle RMC from YouTuber and fellow Great American native Airboss. Essentially, there's a lot of positives and negatives that would go into American Eagle being RMC'd, and if I did some more research, I would be able to actually make a own separate video of what's the pros and cons. Of course, the major pros is that it cuts down on maintenance costs in an area of the park that can't really be directly replaced by not much. The area in which American Eagle sits on is very conflicted. You can't really put a lot of heavy machinery in that area because of its proximity to roads and public roads and private businesses. Giving it the RMC would just be a once-over, and it would really not need some major maintenance again. Would not need to be really retracked. And the layout, I was convinced didn't have potential earlier, but Airboss's layout, as well as going with a quasi-Mobius fashion, a la Twisted Colossus, would really spruce up the coaster and give life to the back of the park. Though it's already kind of lively back there with Goliath and X-Lite surrounding American Eagle. And I think that this would be a quality coaster. The one thing that I've always said Great America is missing is a world-class coaster. It's been missing for a long time. Raging Bull was one of the first hypers, and it was a world-class coaster back in the early 2000s, but is no longer so, as we've had bigger, better, faster, taller roller coasters and just general B&M hypers and B&M Gigas built. Goliath was never really a strong RMC to begin with. Even in its debut year, is outclassed by Iron Rattler and Outlaw Run, for example. And really nothing else in the park is world class. It's just supporting lineups, B&M Flyer, B&M Invert, B&M Wing. Our most unique and famous coaster is Whizzer. So that really says something. If we install Iron Eagle and make it similar, or if not identical to what Airboss has suggested in this video here, we can have a world-class coaster in our hands for the first time in basically 2 decades, if not ever. And I think that RMCing this thing would really have a lot more positives than negatives. There's, of course, issues and logistical things with RMCing American Eagle. It's a classic ride, and in 2021, it'll be turning 40 years old. 2020 will actually be its 40th season of operation since it opened for the 1981 season. And much like Steel Vengeance and soon to be Iron Gwazi, this thing will be popular and rule the crowds for decades to come, but not only the GP but also the enthusiast community. I've really grown convinced of this idea over the past few years. I went from being an staunchy denier to a full-on advocate of it, especially since 2019. Eagle has been very sad with its operations. It wasn't even running 2 trains for the vast majority of the season, and when it did, the crowds were often flimsy and they weren't even dueling. They dispatched them separately for reasons. A quasi-Mobius would have its issues, it wouldn't always duel because of timing, but I think that it would just give a world-class coaster to the Great America, which is what it needs. I know having 2 RMCs is also redundant, but Goliath is barely even an RMC to begin with. If Six Flags can funnel all their money into this for 2022 or 2023 maybe, it would be a very welcome and well-received attraction if they execute it right and don't get cheap. If they ever do this, my one commandment would be don't get cheap. Moving on, we got the down year coming up after that, 2023, with the Kiddie Expansion. Camp Cartoon, the kiddie area of the decade, basically in the 90s and early 2000s, was once themed to Hanna-Barbera characters, and due to licensing issues and the revocation of Hanna-Barbera licensing across the entirety of the Six Flags chain, it has become a decrepit wasteland. The rides there are often very lowly, sparsely attended, sometimes aren't even operating, and the entire area of the park is just kind of dreary, and it doesn't really have much draw to it other than the kiddie coaster that people would raid. And even then, Little Dipper is the more popular kiddie coaster. I think this area needs a serious touch-up if they want to make this thing relevant again. So, what I think they should do is that they would remove the small things like, what is it, Yahoo Rescue Road, Yahoo River. There's like 3 rides in there. They already got rid of Boulder Roller, but there's like 2 or 3 rides there that are like Hampton, 500,000, if even, rides. They would keep and retheme Sprocket Rockets. They may keep and retheme the Camp Bus, if not just buy a new one. But they would be spruced out with maybe 3 or 4 new kiddie rides of different types. It would be rethemed to the Looney Tunes properties, or maybe even DC Super Friends, but I feel like the Looney Tunes properties is a lot more possible, a lot more feasible. And it would also help stabilize character appearances, which has been kind of a niche critic of the park. They don't really do them very much past, say, noon or 2 o'clock. And when they do, they're usually in very niche locations and not well advertised. So it's basically been a decade since they had stable character appearances other than first thing in the morning. And that would be a thing for some devout fans or some kids with other interests. Like, 6-year-old wants to meet Bugs Bunny but never gets to due to managerial crises. Stuff like that. Moving on, we have 2024, which would be the removal of Revolution at the end of the 2023 season. It would reach the end of its service life, and that'd be pretty easy to play off. And would be replaced directly with a 220, 230-foot fun-type Sky Screamer. This has been a good fit for the park ever since Six Flags started installing these in, 2013? And Six Flags Great America is no exception. Can't be one of the larger ones like Texas Sky Screamer or Nest due to the proximity to, let's say, the Waukegan local airport. But it can still exist. It can be just about as tall as Giant Drop, or it can be, maybe you can get close to Skytrack Tower's height, if that's even still around at this time, because I mean, that thing is also basically a glorified flagpole with some mechanical bits. It works about maybe 2 weeks of the year, and then just don't even bother running it. That could also be a replacement for Sky Screamer, but I think Revolution, the aging and irrelevant Revolution, which has already been suffering from declining crowds in 2019, really doesn't have a place in the park anymore, would really be good for a Sky Screamer to help finally complete the County Fair revitalization. In 2025, I would see that Great America has been installing coasters every 2 or 3 years. 3-year gaps typically come with their major rides, such as Goliath and Max Force in this case, and Iron Eagle in this case as well. So I would love to see the go-karts being replaced by a compact, new school family coaster. We don't really have a good family coaster. What would be a good idea to replace the go-karts with would be, say, a Sierra Sidewinder thing, like a Mach Family Spinner, or a Vekoma suspended coaster similar to Dragonfly, or a Dollywood, or S&S Family suspended coaster like Merlam's Mayhem at Dutch Wonderland. That last one, although despite the reliability issues, could be a real thing because Six Flags has a long-standing partnership with S&S. Great America doesn't really have a lot of family coasters, and getting rid of American Eagle for a super thrill ride kind of leaves a gap to be desired. They also don't have a spinning coaster at all. They haven't since Raging Cajun, and I really want a spinning coaster in the park. And I love Sierra Sidewinder. It's a sleeper hit. So I would love to see one of those go to Great America. And if anything, if the go-karts do decide to be stayed, I could also remove Demon, which very likely could have reached the end of its service life, because Demon will be basically 50 years old at that point. Turn of the Century opened in 1976. So Demon will essentially be 50 years old. And I could say have a Gravity Group Family Woody along the lines of Kentucky Flyer, replace Demon, and use the back end of that stuff for a modern flat ride to spruce up Metropolis Plaza. And I do have some things in the bucket list as well. Replace aging flats like Skytrack Tower and Condor with modern flats. The biggest one would be a Zamperla Endeavor, a Chance Freestyle, a Fabry Booster if they continue installing those, although the occupancy would be really bad. Maybe even a Ferris wheel. I would love to see repaints for rides like Raging Bull and Whizzer, and maybe even X-Flight Batman. Uh, I don't know. Some things will get really bad. Raging Bull already needs a paint job, and I'm sure it'll be even worse in 2025. Maybe for 2027, 2028, remove a log flume to run a roller coaster in it. Maybe replace V2 with a back power splash to help compensate for the loss of water rides. I would move the season opener closer to late March rather than early April, kind of to catch the spring break crowd from the Chicago schools. And then some general improvements, like maybe continue to improve the cellular networks because they get a little overpopulated and hard to handle at times. They have dead spots and stuff like that. Try and move along operations and spruce up the mobile app as well. It's really bad at updating stuff until too late in the season. So, that's just some nitpicks though. What would you think about my plan for Great America? This is probably going to get turned on its head by next year, but I can dream, dang it. If you guys have your own ideas for this, leave in the comments below. I really would like to hear what you guys think. If you guys think I'm full of crap, well, so be it. I mean, this is just my opinions, and I'm doing it for superficial entertainment value, as well as, pitching my ideas into the internet and seeing if anyone hits them back. If you guys have enjoyed the video, if you did, leave a like, comment, or subscription, or feel free to. I can't tell you what to do. I hope you guys have a great insert unit of time here, and as always, I wish you guys peace.